Okay, time for the sixth in the sci-fi fantasy and weird fiction exploration with Annihilation. Annihilation by Jeff VanderMeer. Alright, let's get started. Oh, I am off kilter today. There we go. Hey everyone, it is Shannon. I'm excited to talk about another title for the sci-fi fantasy and weird film fiction exploration. Actually, this does have a film adaptation in the works, so maybe I'm projecting. This is actually, I'm very excited to say this definitely falls under the umbrella of weird. When I was researching weird and the new weird, Jeff VanderMeer came up as one of the authors, and it also kind of cross genre. It's hard to define what genre it is, which I think actually really puts it in weird, which that's exciting, because that's for me, that's part of the exploration, is to get to the weird stuff too, and I definitely got to it here. Sadly, this one didn't really work for me that much, but that's not what it's all about. I think it's just as valuable to discuss titles that may not have worked for you, as well as the ones that you love. I think it's great to share and the enthusiasm of things that really work. But this one actually made me curious about, because I feel like I'm in the minority in terms of liking it. And so I'm very curious to hear what other people really enjoyed about it. And because it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I did finish reading it. I didn't DNF it, but I gotta say, if it was more, my version was less than 200 pages, and if it was longer than that, I might have DNF'd it. But I really aggressively read it in 3 days before my library hold ran away. So that had something to do with it too. Anyway, about the book itself. Now, this follows 4 women who are on an expedition to Area X. They're the 12th expedition, and it's not super explained what Area X is or why there are expeditions there, other than I think just weird things happen. But who is funding it, who it is affiliated with, where it is located, I don't know. But we follow the biologist, who is never named because none of the people in the book are named, or at least none of the people in this group are named. Also in her group are surveyor, psychologist, who is the leader of the group, and an anthropologist. And it's great premise. Like, going into it, I was like, oh, this is going to be awesome. I was really excited. It kind of reminded me of Sphere, or even, which, group scientists go to check out something unexplainable, or The Ruins, even, because of it being outside and all the greenery and plant stuff, weird stuff, lots of potential there. But very, very quickly, I felt like, this is rubbing me the wrong way. It has the pace of a thriller. It definitely is a page turner. You want to know what's gonna happen next. You want to know why things are happening. Don't get the answers to a lot of the whys, which is part of what drove me a little bananas. Yeah, this one's hard to talk about without going into spoilers, which I will go into. Not going to go there quite just yet, because also, one of the challenges I had with the book is that the narrator is so unemotional and distant, and that it was hard to connect with her. And I felt like maybe that there's a turning point at some point or something, but if it came, I missed it, and if it's later in the series, I'm not invested enough to keep going. And this is the first time in a long time, maybe ever, that I might just read spoilers of the second and third books to find out what happens, because I'm not invested enough to keep reading them. Even though they are short, it drove some of the writing devices they used to create mystery, for me, created too much mystery. I wanted some concrete answers, maybe not to everything, but I felt like there was just this big out that anything could be possible or explained away, and for me that's a big no-no. It's almost like, when this is a different example, but it's like, when you're told that you can't write something and then be like, and I woke up and it was all a dream. For me, it felt like that. I felt like it crossed a line that I wasn't comfortable with as a reader, and I lost a lot of trust. Now, that being said, I'm not am I criticizing the writing? I guess I am, actually, because I don't like that, but that doesn't mean it's not an interesting journey to go on. And I'm curious for the people that really enjoyed the book, if that was an element that really grabbed you and drove you forward and wanting to, you know, or if it didn't bother you. For me, it bothered me, like on a personal level, like it bothered me. And I'm like, wow, I'm like getting a little like crazy about this, you know, but, you know, but I did want to know what happened. And I did feel that I could finish the book in a reasonable period of time. So I kept going. I don't know. Also, I'm really curious about the upcoming film adaptation for this one. It is going to be, it has been optioned and it's going to be adapted and directed by Alec Garland, who did Ex Machina. I haven't seen Ex Machina, so I don't want to talk about that, but it does give me, from what I've gleaned from it and from the people that I know that really enjoyed it, it does give me some hope that of a story that can be pulled from this book that wasn't necessarily the story that I was following, or the emotional thread that I was following, but is there. It also, this book really did make me realize that for me, having an emotional reaction and sympathy for the character and rooting for the character is very important. If I don't have that, I'm not invested and I'm not enjoying what I'm reading. So that was very valuable as a reader to see that delineation, and I'm sure it'll help me make choices in terms of what I read in the future. I think I'm going to actually now just go to the spoiler zone. I'm like, where's my cue card? But before that, next up, I'm going to be talking about 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. We're going old school. Jules Verne, you know, pretty epic. Pretty freaking epic. So you can stay tuned for that. That'll be up probably in maybe a week or so. But now on to the spoiler zone for some spoilery thoughts on Annihilation. And I'm just gonna get right to it because I gotta get it out. I gotta get it out! And that is like, oh my gosh, the whole hypnosis thing. I was like, I lost so much trust. I lost so, like, all of a sudden when they relay that the main character can, you know, realizes that she's been affected by hypnosis and can mostly or possibly or always resist it now that she's turning into some creature or something. I'm like, no, that's, for me, that was one step too far, because it just felt like now anything, it's just an open plane, anything can be explained away, anything is possible in terms of her memories aren't necessarily her memories, her futures, her actions aren't necessarily her actions. I guess that's what bothered me, is it sort of took away choice from this character. All of a sudden, like, not only was she an unreliable narrator, I'm pretty sure that's the correct you know, definition of an unreliable narrator. We can't believe anything that she says, but it also made me feel like for her person that her power was taken away, and that really bothered me. So that just irked me. The whole hypnosis thing irked me. It just left it way too open. And then when, also what really drove me bananas is when they finally she gets to the bottom of the tower / tunnel and sees the monster at the end of the book, you know, at the end of the tunnel or whatever. It's like, it's described as indescribable. It's like, don't you go there. Sure, maybe she can't describe it, but she's a scientist, she's a biologist. If she can't actually describe something she's seeing or experiencing, like, I have a problem with that. And then also as a writer, I'm like, oh, come on. Like, maybe I've just been reading too much Lovecraft, but I'm just like, it just, no. Like, and we did get some stuff, and I get, like, trying to get this, it's so crazy, it's so omnipresent, it's so different, it's so alien that you can't describe it. But as a reader, you know, you do all that work and you show up to that page and you're like, I don't get an answer. And same with the hypnosis. I felt like I don't get an answer. I don't get and we later don't get any explanation really for her actions, why she wants to keep going. I actually also didn't believe, I didn't believe that she'd go after her husband because she's so emotionally distant. And also, if she was going to go on this expedition, I think she would be more curious about this ecological system that she would have volunteered to go or wanted to go before her husband went. So why, what, you know? So I'm really hoping that there's like an emotional thread in development with her character that is pulled, especially in the film adaptation, that is pulled from something that I wasn't seeing while reading it, because I think that there's a great story in there, you know. And I'm not to give this book props for being a great thriller and being a great race. Like, you really just are like, no idea what's going to happen. Anything could happen. But then I felt like nothing did happen. Like, we did get to the monster at the end of the book, and then we didn't. It's like having a blank page. And I'm like, okay, I get that what we can come up with in our head is probably scarier, more interesting, or more crazy, or going to affect us stronger on an emotional level than being like, it was purple and blobby and had 4 feet. But I wanted to know, if not necessarily visually what it looked like, what her reaction was. It just got very airy, and there was just way too many outs. There was way too many easy outs for me, and that really bothered me. But, again, if this is, like, if you take it from the perspective of a thriller, and you're like, oh my gosh, tense, what's gonna happen, brilliant. But as a reader, it wasn't an enjoyable experience. So, yeah, so now I feel like another mess, and this, like, won the Nebula, and I'm like, oh my god, like, it just throws me for a loop, especially when I always wanted to, like, read all the Nebula winners or read all the Hugo winners. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't. So, anyway, I don't regret that I read it. I think if it was longer, I probably wouldn't have finished it, but that's, fine. I'm definitely not going to finish the series. It's doubtful. If the film becomes a film series, which is not currently what they're talking about, then I'd probably read the rest of the books. Crazy. Anyway, that's Annihilation for you. Whew, I made it. Hopefully the next book I pick, I just really love. That's one of the things I'm looking for with this exploration, is to find books that I love. Like, this is very valuable to know what I don't like, but I just love to fall in love with a book. I'm hoping. Alright, thanks for watching.